as WWE botched the return of King and Queen of the Ring. On this week's episode, we discuss the tournament so far, plus all the matches currently announced for the premium live event. We also discuss all the latest WWE news, plus we will look back at everything that's happened on Raw and Smackdown. I'm your host, Kenan, and thank you for joining us on Bitchin' About Wrestling.
Acknowledge me!
Hello and welcome to Bitchin' About Wrestling, your podcast for everything WWE. After a hiatus of 2 weeks, we are back with episode 3. Much like CM Punk, we came out with a bang, and then I got injured and been out for a couple of weeks. but now we've made that return. Joining me for today's show, we have Rax and Ryan. How you doing, gentlemen?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm very well. Ryan, you?
I'm pretty damn good. Finally getting enough sleep after the old baby was born.
Nice.
Very glad you're on the mend now, Kenan.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank
100%.
you. So, quick trip to A&E and stuff last week, met a postponement, but there's lots to catch up on because, like I said, it's been a couple of weeks since we've been speaking about wrestling. Just looking at the videos here, being the host of a wrestling podcast, I realize I've got nothing wrestling related in the background. I'm looking at Ryan and all those championship belts. I'm just like, I need to make a change. I think I need a belt. Oh, what's this? Oof. Oh, the tag belts. Is this like the collector's version?
That's the Usos one, yeah. It was a very poor decision. Poor, it's in my bank account, but yeah, very.
Did you have to give one away or something? You mentioned about giving up a title or something?
Yeah, I had a duplicate of the Undisputed.
Right.
I had the original WWE one, which I'll put up some comparison photos that you can put on screen during this. The difference between the V1 and the V2 is nice and day, or at least the WWE one. Like if you look at all the collector things, there's actually, I think they got up to V4. They had a much smaller one, and then they had a much bigger one for Brock Lesnar. And like you can see Taker wearing the tiny one at one point. But the shop ones, there was one that looked comically painted, and the one up there is just a lot more detailed and higher quality. So I upgraded at one point, and I meant to sell it, the original one, for ages, and just finally got around to it. And then because enough time had passed, I was able to go, oh, this is new money that I didn't spend on that, and then convince Jen that it was a good idea to let me buy the Usos one.
Man, maths and manipulation. Love it.
Oh, exactly. Man, maths, yeah.
Brilliant. Very jealous of that collection. And funny enough, when I did show Emma some pictures of these collections, I see a lot of them on TikTok. She was like, oh, okay, they're quite cool. And it's like, okay, I see a window of opportunity here. So it's going to be, but my obsession's Lego at the moment. So it's.
I can see the X-Wing. Is that the X-Wing or is that the Millennium Falcon?
So this one down here is the Millennium Falcon. So this is the big one. And actually, Emma got me that for Christmas this last year. So I have a very good wife, I have to say. Right. So we are here to talk about wrestling. And the first thing I kind of want to talk about is the King and Queen of the Ring. So it's the return of the original King of the Ring tournament. And this is one that I loved growing up. I absolutely love this tournament. I love the style of having wrestlers fight multiple matches in one evening to be crowned the champion. And I think the first one I probably watched was Bret Hart, I think, which was like in 93. And we've had some fantastic wrestlers win over the years, obviously Stone Cold and Owen Hart and Booker T and stuff like that. It had its own pay-per-view for a long time. And we were just discussing before we came on air, the last actual pay-per-view we had of King of the Ring was 2002. So it's well over 20 years that we've had this pay-per-view. I didn't realize it had actually been gone that long because we've had variations of it, which they've done on Raw and Smackdown and like network exclusives and that kind of stuff. But it was long overdue. And when they announced this, I was really excited for it. So, Ryan, what were your thoughts when you heard that King and Queen of the Ring was going to be making a return as a pay-per-view?
I was pretty relieved, to be honest. It was always one of my, I loved it when I got into wrestling. My first one was 2001. And that was the one where, now admittedly, I remember that one more for the Shane Kurt Angle. match that was on the card as well.
Yeah.
Which was absolutely fantastic.
That's the one where he threw him over and the glass didn't break, right?
It was, yeah. That was one of the first pay-per-views I watched live. So King of the Ring is quite a. The first one I watched the day after was WrestleMania 17, but King of the Ring was live at that point, which is 1 a.m. here in the UK. Absolutely loved it. And then, of course, Brock Lesnar won 2002. And for a long time, Lesnar, I followed his career really strongly when he first came in, because I was new into wrestling. But then it kind of died a death. And at the same time, it became a joke for the most part.
Yeah.
There's a couple of good ones, like Regal would have had a good run with it, but then there's all the suspensions and things like that. But more or less, it's become a bit of a joke compared to like Brock Lesnar's career was launched off it. Austin's career was launched off it.
Absolutely.
I think it got supplanted by Money in the Bank, really.
Yeah.
But with it being a PLE, it really feels like Triple H is going to put a focus back on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, quite excited to have something other than Money in the Bank as like here's the new person we're pinning all of our hopes on.
That's right. Like you say, Money in the Bank was like, this is going to be the next big thing because it's like that guaranteed title shot. And something which I did like about this is they have made it clear that the person who wins King of the Ring does get a title shot, and that's what it should be. That. Yeah. Okay. So they can choose. It's a championship of their choosing. So again, like Money in the Bank, it could be for an Intercontinental or a United States. It could be for WWE, or it could be for the World Heavyweight Championship. So I really like that aspect. They haven't made it entirely clear. For instance, if the Raw roster person wins it, they get it for the World Championship, and SmackDown for the WWE. I'd imagine it would be, because they want to keep the brands separate. So where the Royal Rumble, that allows for the crossover promotion like later in the year kind of thing. So I'd imagine that's probably how it's going to play out.
Yeah, right, so Money in the Bank allows crossover as well, doesn't it?
That's right, exactly. Yeah. So I'd imagine they'll probably keep this one more brand specific. Rex, excited for King of the Ring? Well, when it was announced?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, like you guys, I kind of grew up with it as well. So I remember even from going back to when Bret Hart won it and stuff, and like what Ryan was saying earlier, it just really catapults wrestlers to another degree, sort of thing. So it kind of was like, in a weird way, like kind of like a Money in the Bank sort of situation. You sort of elevated. Yes. So it meant something back in the day, and I even remember like when Owen Hart had won it. Because they had that whole year-long storyline about how he was like the lesser heart of the two from Bret Hart and all that. So they had this huge thing. So once he won King of the Ring, he just became to this complete bratish kind of like behavior that he had, which was really great. So I remember all those kind of stories, and yeah, I mean, it died down, and definitely, and because like you guys mentioned, I mean, we had like Baron Corbin, we had like Bad News Barrett. Winning it, even Xavier Woods and all that, and it just didn't have the same sort of, it just was there. Do you know what I mean? It was an excuse just to have a King of the Ring. And you know how they all kind of come with that gimmick where they got the crown on, and I'm not really, it worked well for Owen Hart, I mean, I guess, for like generally speaking, and Booker T actually, it worked really well for him.
That was a good one. King Booker.
So that kind of stuff I'm down with, and it was back in the day considered one of the top, top 5, I guess, PLEs, right?
Yeah.
Back then, yeah. So it was actually one of the big ones, and so I'm excited for it. Just a bit gutted, like how they haven't put a lot of the matches, the qualifying matches, actually on the actual pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's what I want to come on to now. Absolutely. Yeah. As much as I was excited for this, now that we've kind of got the card announced and the format that has been put out there, I'm really disappointed. Because when this was announced, I expected a minimum of having the semi-finals and final on the same night. If I had creative control, I would have put quarterfinals, semi-finals, and final on the same night. I wouldn't have had any other title matches on the card. I would have given all them a break and focus on this generation of talent and build them up. The great thing about seeing King of the Ring was seeing that person progress from match to match, being so tired and having to pull through and finish it, and it's just like, so now they're coming fresh for just one match, and it's just like, it doesn't have the same impact to me, and that's so disappointing that we're literally having just the final on the pay-per-view and it's being filled out with all the other wrestlers. I think the reason why it's happening is because it's based in Saudi Arabia, and they're like, we want certain talent to appear on this pay-per-view because of the money that they give WWE for this event. I think potentially if it was held in North America, we would have probably got a slightly different format, but they have to get Cody on the show. Do you know what I mean? They're going to get a women's title match on the show. They're going to get a tag championship match on the show, Intercontinental. So they're putting all the titles on the pay-per-view when that's not what King and Queen of the Ring should be. It should be focusing on the new talent to produce and project for the future and the upcoming pay-per-views. So yeah, I was really disappointed. What are your guys' thoughts on just having just the final on the pay-per-view?
I mean, as you said, it's gutting really compared to the format. I was just looking back before this at the 2001 one where Edge won, and God, I love that poster, by the way. It's like an electric chair.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That poster was awesome. But I mean, imagine how good that all of the you've got Gunther versus Jey Uso. I know we'll talk about the results coming up.
Yeah.
The semi-finals, you've got Gunther, Jey Uso, probably Orton versus Tamatonga.
I would have thought so. Yeah. Keep that bloodline feud going.
So you got those two, and then my guess is Jey versus Tamatonga. Go to get to that later. Mm-hmm. I know there's the women, they've got to do both as well. So quarterfinals was never going to happen from a time perspective because you're never going to have 8, 12, 14 matches. It's just not going to work. Semi-finals definitely could have done with a time limit.
Yes. And that's it. You could put time limits on it. You could make it a 10-minute, 15-minute match stipulation because, again, it increases that intensity. I have to get this job done within this time frame if I'm going to move on. So,
I mean, that's part of the reason why Kofi Mania happened. I know it wasn't King of the Ring, but it was still a gauntlet match. And it was that progression of Kofi's made it all the way through this, and they just didn't get it.
Yes.
But then got the Kofi Mania thing going, really. Mm-hmm. And people build up behind somebody. Like, imagine if Jey Uso was battered by the time he got to the final. Mm-hmm. And then even if Tamatonga beat him, I mean, I know he's massively over anyway now, but it could be one of those moments where, or like if he beat him, if there's one more payoff to watching somebody struggle that hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rax, why have they only got the final on the pay-per-view?
I mean, it's just what I agree with what you're saying. I mean, they need to get Logan Paul on there. They got to get Cody Rhodes on there. You know what I mean? It's just, it's just for the sake of money. It's the reason why they're doing it. That's plain and simple. That's just what it is. It's for the dough. But I agree with you guys completely. I mean, the PLE is called King and Queen of the Ring. Yet there's only like one match each of it. So
yes,
it does kind of lose that sort of I guess importance to what they're actually building up to. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it. Definitely 100%. But I've been actually enjoying. I mean, having said that, I've actually been enjoying the matches so far to kind of lead up. They felt very important, and I guess it's another way for people to tune in into Raw and SmackDown in a sense. So it's kind of a win-win for them, I guess. So
yeah, definitely. There's definitely been some good quality matches. I have to give them credit for that. And it has been done well. But what they've also done is some tournament matches have appeared just on live events and not been televised. So going to that as well. So it just seems, again, the planning, and maybe it's the timings of the show, segments overrun on like Raw and stuff like that and SmackDown, and maybe some matches were missed out, I think, because of time factors. But it's like, these should be given priority rather than trying to push these other stories sometimes which are going nowhere or you're not that interested in. Focus on this leading up to the pay-per-view and give these people their moments, and we'll come on to something like that. The other thing that I want to mention is as much as I expected them to be part of the tournament, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, being the tag champions, I'm like, you shouldn't be in this tournament. I know it's a singles thing, but for me, it's just like, if you hold a title, you should not be in this tournament. And they've made reference to it on Raw, like Bron Breakker not being in it. And it's so it's just, it seems weird, some of the choices they've made. What are your thoughts on Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill being in it, despite just winning the tag team championships at Backlash?
I mean, looking at the brackets now, they're clearly going to fight in the semi-finals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill. There you go. She's going to do a finish on Nia Jax, and that'll be really impressive, like it was with Piper Niven. Mm-hmm. Tiffany Stratton and Bianca Belair. My heart will break, but Bianca Belair will win that. Mm-hmm. Again, that feels like it should have been on a pay. If they wanted to do tag champs fighting, it should have been on the pay-per-view.
Yes. Yeah.
because it loses it. So it really perplexes me that they did that. Anyway, I can tell why they had them on there because they're really exciting talent and they want to push them in the well, maybe less Bianca because she's already had quite a big push, but particularly Jade Cargill. I could probably see her winning it and then being tag champ, and that maybe it's just they're properly putting the rocket strap on her. But agree, if you're already a champ, you shouldn't be going for something else.
Yeah, agreed. Especially when you only have one women's tag team championship, which is supposed to be covering on both brands, but they're part of this tournament. Again, their tag championship is being left and not utilized, and there's lots of women wrestlers not being given that opportunity to face those because now they're involved in the singles tournament. But hey ho. Right, let's talk about the results so far. So the first round results, we had Gunther defeating Sheamus. I thought that was a pretty good match. Sheamus, after his little bit of a rocky first first appearance back, he's definitely getting ring ready now, and I thought it was a great match. His chest afterwards, my lord. I know he bleeds very easily, and he goes red, pounding his own chest, but he looked absolutely brutal after that. Pretty good match.
I love seeing those guys fight each other. I know Sheamus has come out and said there won't be a fourth one.
Yeah, that's right.
That's such a shame. They're coursing together.
Yeah, but banger after banger after banger.
Or burger after burger after
burger after burger, yeah.
Which I just want to say that is brutally unfair for a man that had such a bad neck condition.
Yes.
The fact he's even in the ring is kind of a miracle, let alone he was slightly overweight when he came back. And put it this way, me saying he's slightly overweight, he's in phenomenal condition. If I stood up, you'd see the pair. So
yeah. Well, that's it. But he also acknowledged, because he got trolled on social media heavy for that, which is really unfortunate. But, he said he was called back early. He thought he had a few more weeks. So, he wasn't as ready as he would like to have been. But yeah.
He's looking good now, though.
Yeah,
he's getting there. Yeah.
Doesn't take long.
He was right. Another couple of weeks and I won his personal trade. Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's it.
Man.
And then we had Ilja Dragunov defeated Ricochet, and again another stellar match. That was really, really good. You guys probably watch a little bit more NXT than I do. What can you tell me about Dragunov? What can we expect from him?
Oh man, do you know what, with Dragunov? He's got that kind of vibe where he matches so well with Gunther. So they're both very they're very similar in terms of I don't know if you ever watched any of their matches together on NXT UK or anything like that.
I didn't.
But yeah, amazing stuff. Really brutal, amazing stuff. So I'm actually really excited for Ilya Dragunov to be on the main roster now, because at some point they're gonna cross paths at some point, and 100% I'm down for that. Honestly, have you so is it like with the NXT stuff, is it you haven't really followed NXT, or is it more just like
it's more of a time factor? I'd love to, but just haven't followed that much.
To be fair, over the last few years, I think Ryan probably agree with this. It's like NXT has sort of dropped in quality a little bit to when it first began, but there's still quality matches that you can find, the characters and all that, and you'll definitely find a lot with Dragunov and Gunther. That'd be something to look forward to.
And Ricochet, maybe a sense of a heel turn. His coming frustrations.
Badly needed.
He needs a change.
So.
I know he's just won the prestigious WWE Speed Championship.
Yes. I still don't know how that works, because I see it advertised on Raw like Speed every Wednesday. So it's like, so is he defending the championship every Wednesday? I haven't actually tuned into it. So
it's on Twitter, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I've watched a few of the matches, but I don't actually really know what the format is and when titles are picked and fought against.
It was the tournament. So they had brackets and everything, and Ricochet won, and then they completely ignored the fact it happened. Because Ricochet was like, I'm fed up of never winning. And it's like, dude, there's a photo of you 2 days ago holding a new championship.
Yeah, it seems bizarre because even though it's happening on Wednesday, they don't seem to be referring to it on the live show like it happened. I don't know if they recorded the fight. I think when they record them, they probably record them after Raw or SmackDown. And so therefore they are taped, and it doesn't necessarily always fit the narrative. But yeah, it was really bizarre.
I do want to point out though, about Ilya Dragunov and all that. I think, wasn't it his and Ricochet like the first match to open for the King of the Ring tournament sort of thing. I think they were the opening sort of first match going. I
It
think
was either first or second. I can't remember if Gunther and
I can't remember
Sheamus
what
went
it
on
was.
before or afterwards. They might have been first.
Right.
Sheamus was the main event for that week, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because I thought it was just like because I think that just started off as an awesome way to start the tournament.
Yeah.
So it kind of made it that whole much more promising and all that. And Dragunov, he's just nuts. So I mean, he makes a standard match look like a hardcore one.
Yeah,
Do
he's.
you know
I
what I
really
mean?
liked him from what I've seen of him so far.
Oh.
Yeah, for real. And then we had obviously Drew McIntyre was pulled from the tournament because of injury, and we had Jey Uso replace him, and he defeated Finn Balor in the first round. And then we had Kofi Kingston defeating Rey Mysterio, and then we moved over to SmackDown. We had Randy Orton defeating AJ Styles, which kind of makes sense considering AJ just had his title shot at Backlash, but there's definitely unfinished business there, I'm sure, with Cody Rhodes. Then we had Tama Tonga defeating Angelo Dawkins, Carmelo Hayes defeating Baron Corbin. I thought Baron Corbin looked great. You know,
he looks like a completely different wrestler after being in NXT.
He really does.
That tag team with Braun was awesome. I'm so sad they didn't do the main roster for a little bit. Yeah. But again, Braun's going to be amazing. Did both of you see that clip of him moving the ring?
Yes. Yes. Speed running.
Mad.
He's a beast. Absolute beast. He really is. And then we had LA Knight defeating Santos Escobar, but that wasn't televised. It was it was a live event. So I get that it's kind of cool to do some stuff at live events, but this seems really weird. And especially for someone like LA Knight, who you think they would promote quite heavily in this tournament. It was probably one of my favorites to win it. I thought he was probably going to win Money in the Bank, but there's a potential that he might take home. He's probably going to win one of the two, because if you're not going to put a championship on him, you need to give him that title opportunity again, because otherwise it's going to get to a point where the heat that he has is just going to die off, and it's going to become stale too quickly. So then we moved on to the quarterfinals, and we had Gunther defeating Kofi Kingston just this past week. Again, a really solid match. I thought it was really good. And I love the way Gunther works on his opponents, picks a spot, breaks him down, and makes him tap out. And, that's really great. Jey Uso, Dragunov, again, really good match. Like you say, Dragunov just, elevates matches, and he was fantastic. Then we've got two more quarterfinal results. We got Tama Tonga, which is going to be happening this Friday on SmackDown. Tama Tonga versus LA Knight, and then Carmelo Hayes versus Randy Orton. So, guys, tell me about some of the matches that you enjoyed leading up to it, and then who do you think is going to go through from the quarterfinals on SmackDown? So, talk me about some of the matches you've seen so far.
I think probably my favorite so far, Gunther Sheamus. I already mentioned it. I'll go for anything Gunther does. His match against Kofi was great as well.
Yeah.
Probably then Ricochet and Dragunov after that. Baron Corbin and Carmelo Hayes is really good. Really rate Baron Corbin now as well.
Yeah, and they kind of protected him because it was kind of a quick win, as a roll-up. So it kind of protected Baron a little bit. It wasn't a clean, just totally finished him.
They've got a really good mix of wrestlers in it. Like it's not all just main event. Like it's not like they put Cody in there or something.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I'm surprised Solo's not in it to win it.
Yes.
Like that would be a good way to give him a win. Like he's now the king of the ring, and he's also the leader of the bloodline. And Tama being in there makes me think he's going to beat LA Knight, and LA Knight will have to wait till Money in the Bank.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's probably what I think. So I think the main event will be Jey versus Tama. But really rating the tournament so far. It's just a shame it's not on the one night.
Yeah. Rax, what are your thoughts?
Like I said, the tournament so far, I've enjoyed what I've seen. See what Ryan said. We got Gunther and Sheamus. That was great. Who else was there? We had Ilya and Ricochet was a great one as well. Mm-hmm. God, there were so many matches I can't remember. AJ and Orton was decent. Actually, you know what? I actually really enjoyed. I enjoyed not for the match itself, but I think just for storyline purposes, I actually enjoyed Angelo Dawkins and Tama Tonga. It's purely because of Paul Heyman. because I mean, there's a lot of things going on there. So it's like that match is like it's not. It was fairly. It was okay, but it was just for a storyline purpose. It was amazing. And you know, I don't know. There's this thing on the internet where people are saying about how when they're putting their fingers up, right, they're putting their ones up, and it's like Heyman's doing it with the opposite hand. Have you noticed how he's done it with the left hand? So it's like that sort of like subtle thing there where it's like, oh, you know, there's something there that's
but not quite.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, exactly. And then also, actually, I got to give a shout out to Nia Jax as well, to be honest, because I was never a big Nia Jax fan, and so I've actually liked that she's returned. I think she's improved a lot in the ring.
Yeah,
and to be honest with you, again, subtle thing as well. People be talking about her outfit, what she was wearing. It was very bloodline-ish, which was like black and red. So it's like, and I think they do need a female person. I think and I think Nia Jax would do really well in that role. I mean, you know, because the Bloodline, I mean, 2.0, whatever you want to call them, the new Bloodline, I'm actually with it. Actually, you know, the more they just appear to be. I mean, they do literally the same thing that they did with Roman thing, but it just appears more sinister. So from like a story, from a storyline perspective, you know, like I think the storylines that are coming out of it are really great. A lot of losses here and there, which I wasn't big fans of, like Finn losing. You know, I think Finn needs to win like a Money in the Bank because him and Damien Priest are going to blow up soon. So I think there's going to be something there. Yeah, from storyline purposes, I mean, yeah, it's been decent matches out there as well. So, yeah.
Okay. We'll come on to a little bit about Finn. I might have an idea of where they may be going with that, but okay. So yeah, I think that I think if I want Gunther to go through because I think he deserves it. And I think he'd be a good person to be sort of like haunting other people with that potential title match. But the way they're pushing Jay at the moment, I kind of see him maybe taking it. And like Ryan said, Tama Tonga, Jey Uso in the final, there is that connection there. So that kind of would make sense. Let's move on to Queen of the Ring quickly. We're going to talk about the first round results. So Io Sky defeated Natalya. We had Valkyria defeating Dakota Kai. I thought that was a really good match as well. Zoe Stark defeated Ivy Nile. And then we had Shania Baszler defeating Maxine Dupree. Maxine Dupree was entered because the previous Queen of the Ring winner, Zelina Vega, she was injured. She had to be replaced. But again, this was a non-televised match. We had Bianca Belair defeating Candice LeRae. Jade Cargill defeating Piper Niven. Nia Jax defeating Naomi. And Tiffany Stratton defeated Michin, again, not televised. Any of those matches kind of shout out to you guys? I know I agree Nia Jax was really good. And I think that her storytelling is good in and around the ring as well. The way she is interacting with the crowd and really taking on their heel persona. But yeah, any of those other matches speak out to you guys? Or any other talent?
I think like with the Io Sky, I think she's got potential to actually win it. It's a potential thing. I mean, I know at the end of it, it'll end up probably being like Bianca and Jade at the end of it, but I think if Io, I think she would have a lot of fun with the gimmick of being Queen Io. Yeah. And she's like I think if not one of the most talented like women right now. And for her to have that match, it was a really good match as well with her and Natalya as well. So Natalya, she's obviously like a pillar. Yeah. In the women's division. So if anyone's going to put her over, it was Natalya. I thought that was a great match. That was a good one.
Yeah, and I like the fact that Io Sky is being represented well in this, the fact that she was just the previous champion, you know, so she quite rightly should be progressing through the tournament quite well.
Actually, I also want to say that even the Ivy Nile Zoe Stark match was actually quite decent. It wasn't too bad at all. Yeah, it was actually quite decent, but do you know what? It really
rate both of them. I like both of them a lot, particularly.
What really killed it was the crowd.
Yeah.
It was the crowd that really killed it, to be honest with you. It's not like we're gonna probably compare like that to France for like a really long time. But they really should. I think you should, when you're going to see a show, support them no matter what kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's hard shit, man. You got to support them, honestly.
It is really hard, absolutely. And maybe they might be better off having some more of these women wrestlers in tag teams and having some more of these matches so they could get more time on the card, because trying to find individual time for these wrestlers is tricky. You know, there's only so many matches.
Well, yeah, it's tricky with those two in particular, because Zoe Stark, let's start with Ivy Nile. What's she done since she got called up? despite being great. Even the Creed brothers, who she was paired with for a while, wasn't she? They've not really been on TV either. So you put her out there in the crowd, a lot of people in the crowd will probably be like, who? And that's a shame because she's awesome. And then Zoe Stark, she had burst onto the scene with like being Trish's enforcer, which I loved that when she came in, and then lost repeatedly. So I really rate both of them, and it's a shame the crowd wasn't into it, but I don't think they've done a great job with the non-title scene of the women's division recently.
Yeah. Okay. Right, quarterfinals. Io Sky defeated Shayna Blazer. Is it? I can never remember how to spell that pronunciation.
Shayna Blazer.
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 Because I always want to say Blazer, but there's no L there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got me tongue-tied now.
And Valkyria defeated Zoe Stark. And then obviously we've got two more matches, which is going to be a SmackDown this week. You've got Cargill versus Nia Jax and Belair versus Stratton. I think Belair might go through. Like, I think we might see a Belair Cargill semi-final. And I would expect Tiffany to take home Money in the Bank later in this year. I think that's how I would book it anyway. You guys' thoughts on the quarters and semis? Who do you think we're going to see in the final?
I think it's going to be Io, and I don't know. It's either going to be Cargill or Belair. It's a tough one, that one.
Yeah.
But I think from a Raw side, it's got to be Io, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Agreed, yeah. It's going to be Io. Lyra's just debuted, so yeah, it'll be Io. On the other side, yeah, you're right. It's really tricky. Part of me was thinking you might have the Kabuki Warriors cost Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill both their respective matches and then delay their fight.
Interesting, yeah.
But they didn't interfere in the first round or anything, so it seemed weird to interfere in the second round. Plus, Io is already through to the next round. So that's probably else.
Actually, you know what?
Maybe that's more of a reason for them to interfere, because they don't want either of Belair or Cargill to face Io in the final. So by interfering in both their matches, it reignites the tag team feud for a rematch. Yes.
Which then delays the money match to a pay-per-view down the road.
Yeah,
that's versus Belair.
My thought was pretty much that, I actually think that when you put it down, I changed my mind. It's going to be Io, and then it's going to be Cargill. It's got to be Cargill, and the only reason why is I think there were a few weeks back, they were trying to hint at a Belair heel turn a little bit. And there's obviously going to be some sort of jealousy thing. I think it's going to lead up the storyline all the way up to WrestleMania, and I think that's what's going to happen. Okay, that's what I'm sticking with.
All right.
I like that. Belair's needed a heel turn, because I loved her when she debuted, and then she's been sort of the underdog babyface. Well, not underdog. That's a bad way to put it. The John Cena style babyface that didn't lose for a long time, which she deserves it. But again, you need to freshen up occasionally, and I think she'd be an awesome heel. So
yeah, agreed. All right, let's talk about quickly some of the other matches announced for the King and Queen of the Ring card. We've got Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul. I don't think anyone saw this one happening. Champion versus champion. Both titles are on the line, so both could be, double champion. Cody's made it quite clear that he needs the United States Championship to be a Grand Slam champion. And if it wasn't so soon after WrestleMania, I'd probably be like, you know what? I wouldn't be against putting the title on Logan, because I think that would really mix things up. But maybe it's just a little bit too soon, unless it's a quick turnaround where he takes the title and then loses it again the next pay-per-view. But yeah, how do you see this one going, guys? Because again, it's for the Saudi Arabia crowd. It's to get both these guys onto that card. But how do you see this panning out?
So I like the match. I think the match is going to be great. I think Cody versus Logan's great. Probably would have preferred it if it was just for the Undisputed Championship, because then Logan could take a loss and still be the US champ.
Yeah.
I don't know why Cody needs the US title yet. It's like it almost feels like I finished the story, and now here's a tiny bit of an epilogue of Grand Slam champion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
just,
I want it. It's like he's trying to be Thanos. I want it all now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Collect
so he
everything.
just drops the US title onto his.
Drops to the US title. Now I'm Grand Slam champion, and it's just like, yo, it's just like
snaps the bloodline out of existence, or snaps the final boss out of existence.
yeah. Yeah, double champ all the way to WrestleMania to fight The Rock.
Now, one thing that could, I know Rock's.
That's it. He'll take it all the way to next WrestleMania, win the People's Championship, and then he'll be a triple champion.
Why not give him one of the tag titles too?
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, it'll be.
He might team. Roman will come back. He'll team up with Roman to fight the Usos for the tag championship. They'll be 4-time champion.
It could happen. Either way, it's going to be a great match. I really think it'll be fantastic. Logan Paul delivers every single time, and Cody's on a really hot streak. I can't see anyone but Cody winning, but I would. The Maverick in me would love to see Logan Paul win, and I love the. We were talking about this in text the other day. Mm-hmm. I love the Attitude Era where title changes were more frequent.
Yes.
So therefore, absolutely. Like at the moment, every single smart person goes into a pay-per-view like this and goes, it's in Saudi Arabia, nothing big can happen. Oh, Cody won the title 1 month ago, nothing big can happen. I'd love a bit more unpredictability that you don't know what's going to happen. Absolutely. For that reason, I'd love to see Paul win it.
Yeah, we don't want 12-month title reigns anymore. No.
Yeah. Particularly after a 3-year one that's just finished.
Rax, who do you see winning? Or is it going to end in a DQ?
Do you know what? I want it to end in a DQ. I don't want any titles to change hands, honestly. Like, I think I think he's Logan Paul's been great as US champ, and I think it'd be kind of disservice to him to actually have it losing to Cody. I mean, not the fact that it's Cody Rhodes, but just that in the title versus title, and in the King, just a random like PLE that they've got the King of the Ring. So and plus, obviously SummerSlam is going to be in his hometown, so I'm kind of hoping that he'd still have the title until then. But
I mean, unless he loses it to Cody and then has a rematch at SummerSlam.
I mean, that's the thing. If there's going to be an actual winner and all that, it's going to be Cody.
Yeah,
100%. Whether if I like that or not,
Yeah, unless they do this weird thing where it's like via count out, because then you don't win the title via a count out.
Oh,
right?
That's true. Yeah.
So
there's got to be some sort of interruption or something. There's got to be something in that main event too. Because
who's Logan Paul going to bring? Is it he's had KSI, he's had ISHO Speed. Who's going to potentially?
I don't even mind I don't even mind if he has like A-Town Under coming in, and because they've got some sort of thing there.
Yeah, I think Jake Paul might be there. I think because it's Saudi Arabia.
No, that's true.
I think Jake might make an appearance, and then maybe that might result in a DQ or something. But
it's got to end in something, because the last pay-per-view, it was just a straight match, no interruption, nothing. Someone's got to have something. It has to, please.
Okay. So also announced.
Sorry, 1 second.
Go on.
Isn't Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson?
Yes, very soon.
So, is there any chance Tyson might be there?
Oh, can you imagine? Tyson will get paid.
Can you imagine that? Logan Paul has Jake Paul come out, they knock down Cody, and then suddenly out of nowhere, Tyson knocks them both out.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
But I mean,
put that on your predictions. Absolutely.
I think I will. What I could see happening is the next pay-per-view is Money in the Bank, right?
Yes, I think so.
So, Logan Paul wins.
Mm-hmm.
There's no automatic rematches anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that Cody can get it is to win the Money in the Bank tournament and then faces Logan for all the gold again at SummerSlam.
Oh, interesting. It's a new era. Anything could happen.
Could happen. I quite like that in a way. Anyway.
Yeah. So then we've also got on the card, we've got Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable versus Bronson Reed. Triple threat match for the Intercontinental title. I think this will be good. I've really liked Bronson Reed. I think he's done really well since he's come in. I thought he did quite well in the Speed Championship as well. He had a good match, I think, with Ricochet. So, yeah, it's a good match. What I am confused about is they are doing Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable next week on Raw. Not for the championship, but a match. It's like, I wouldn't be having these one-on-one matches building up to that triple threat, considering they've fought each other quite recently. Seems a bit strange, but you guys looking forward to this triple threat?
Yeah, I am 100%. Yeah, Yeah, and I agree with you totally about when you're saying Sammy and Gable having one-on-one. It's kind of like something that you get in
because
Universe.
Bronson's going to interrupt, right? It's like
Yeah, exactly. It's like something you get in Universe mode. You know what I mean? It's just like you set up the rivalry, but it's like they're literally fighting each other all the time. It's just until the baby. So
what am I going to do this week? I'll make Sammy the partner of Chad, or like next week I'll make him his manager just to keep the rivalry going.
That's it, to keep it going. Yeah, absolutely. And then we have Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship. Becky Lynch's contract is up in 3 to 4 weeks. So could she be dropping the title quite quickly to Liv?
I don't want her to go, really.
Mm-hmm.
if I'm being honest with you, I mean, I don't think she will, to be honest with you. But I mean, I think, to be honest with you, I mean, Ryan knows this as well. Like, I'm not the biggest Liv Morgan fan, but she's kind of turning it around for me right now. I think she's doing pretty well. She's doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's doing pretty well for it, and I think if she will drop the title, it probably would it be that day? I don't know. I mean, it's a tough one to say. I mean, if the contract is up and all that, yeah, she needs a break, then yeah, probably, yeah.
Could be.
I
think if she keeps it, then she's re-signing. If she drops it, she might be taking a little break. But
Can anyone else see the payoff of the Dom Mysterio tease that's been going?
He might interrupt.
Yeah, it's
they're teasing that for the last couple of weeks. I don't know if I want to continue teasing it.
They have. So we had an interview happening, and they both came out of this same backstage area together, both out the same door, just kind of, a few seconds apart. Then we had Liv Morgan doing a photo shoot, and in her pocket, if you look at a close up, it's got Dom's scarf in her pocket. And we know Dom's about the prison life. He's been to prison. It's very much a case of when someone's your thing, you take their handkerchief or their scarf and you pin it on that person. So it has to happen. And like I said, it needs to be, Liv Morgan, she will get the title. Rhea Ripley will come back. Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, ladder match for the ownership of Dom. It has to come full circle.
I want that to happen so bad.
It has to come full circle.
Imagine if it's at SummerSlam. That would be, oh my God, would it be 20 years since the custody on pole match?
Custody of Dom, yeah.
It has to come full circle. Was that 2004?
2005.
Damn it.
almost spot on 20 years.
Yeah, 2005. Yeah, 2005.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'd be something. Right. So that is our King and Queen of the Ring roundup. Let's just talk about some of the other latest news that we've got going on. So WrestleMania 41 was announced. It's going to be the 19th and 20th of April 2025 in Las Vegas. Guys, have you been looking up tickets? Have you been looking up flights? What's going on?
I did have a look. It's been, the last one I went to was 28, so it's overdue. I don't know. Part of me wants to hold out for the London one, but the draw of it potentially being Bloodline v Bloodline next year, pretty strong.
It is pretty strong. The wife has actually been encouraging, which has been very nice to see. So she's been happy looking at flights and stuff like that. We've been keeping an eye on the tickets because I've seen the packages. So the packages you can pre-order now, and they are quite pricey. But she's very much a case of, I don't mind you spending that, but I'm not going to go. She's not a fan. So she's like, I'm not going to spend that money for me to go on that package. So if one of you guys are prepared to drop down some money on a package.
How much are the packages now?
I think they're about 2.5 to 3.5.
For everything.
Yeah.
So that's SmackDown, the Hall of Fame, Raw.
That's right. Nights. And you get, depending on the price you pay, depends on where your seats are for the event. So you have like higher tier, mid tier, close to the ring. Some of them are like over 10 grand. It's
I haven't really looked at all, but I mean, I don't even think I will be doing it this time around. We went in me, Ryan, and a friend of ours, Paul, went to go WrestleMania 28, and that was amazing though.
That was awesome.
That was so good. I mean, because I've been there before and stuff, and I'm really looking forward to doing it eventually again. But I don't think I can afford to do it this time around. Honestly, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of moolah.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have mentioned about WrestleMania in London, perhaps. So obviously with WrestleMania in London, if that ever happens, then great. But I mean, they did mention that the Big Four is not going to be. They're going to probably just do it in the States. So I mean, there's that little thing. But I did love the little exchange with like Sadiq Khan and Triple H going, little tease there.
That's right. And after Backlash, he in the press conference he said Khan's just been re-elected, so he said, "Call me, talk to me." I think they will do it if we put up the money. If London put up the money, I think it could happen. Whether it's a WrestleMania, I don't know. Maybe a Royal Rumble, but I think London could do one of the top 4 if they put up the money for it.
I mean, they can see how like international audiences react to these things. You know what I mean? You know how mad it is. So
yeah, no, exactly, and we'll come on to that in a little bit. So absolutely right. But I think Nick is tempted as well. So Nick from Bitchin About Wrestling team, he's tempted to go maybe taking the family. So, but again, it all comes down to money because it's going to be an expensive trip. But it's for most people it's a once in a lifetime. So I'm very tempted. CM Punk, he's also close to a return. So there's talk about a possible SummerSlam appearance. He might be back for August. And I think if Drew can take the title, I think Drew versus Punk for the title, I think it could be on the cards with SummerSlam, throw him right in that title picture. If I had creative control and CM Punk could come back from injury earlier, if he was available in July, I'd have CM Punk win Money in the Bank and Drew beat Damian Priest for the title and have Punk tease and torment Drew McIntyre with that briefcase for months. And I think that would be such great television and social media and everything. If he was fit, I would love that, but I just don't know if he's going to be back in time. But,
can you imagine if he brought out another T-shirt of like the grave thing like that, and he's holding the Money in the Bank, and it's just a question mark for when Drew's time's going?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I would absolutely love that. But yeah, CM Punk is close to coming back. Jesse Ventura is close to signing a Legends deal with WWE. Guys, were you a fan of Jesse Ventura back in the day?
Not the biggest, but I mean, I remember like his commentary and stuff. I remember he did a lot of commentary back in the day as well. Don't remember much in the ring. Maybe that was a bit ahead of my time, a little bit. Yeah, a bit before all of us. But he's a big, he's a big influence on the company. So, maybe something will come out of it. I'm not sure. I mean, bit about it, but yeah.
I remember thinking how weird it was that he got elected.
Yes.
Like, how could a wrestler get elected for anything? And that was back at the time when it was like wrestling was essentially the 80s cartoon, right?
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
So no, he did awesome. It'd be good to have him around. He was always good on the mic.
He was.
Think he could do an authority figure thing, or it's just Legends?
Yeah, so at the moment it's like a Legends contract, so I think, maybe it's just appearances. Maybe he might come and do like a manager role or like you say, an influence or something like that. It's possible, but we'll see what happens. But we'll see what happens. Then we have also had some recent claims by Dana White suggesting that maybe WWE pay-per-views might be moving back to Sunday nights. Maybe a TKO decision. He said recently, regarding the dates upcoming from UFC, he said, we already have those dates set right now where Power Slap goes Friday, UFC goes Saturday, and then you're going to see Friday Power Slap, Saturday UFC, and Sunday WWE. You'll start seeing that stuff too. So WWE is scheduled to be on Saturdays right up until August, SummerSlam, but potentially after that we could be going back to Sunday nights. Based in the UK, that is something we do not want, right, boys? Because that impacts our Mondays
100%.
Hugely. Absolute horseshit. It's been great not having to use holidays to watch pay-per-views. Absolute horseshit. I love it.
I absolutely agree. There's one thing which has been great, being in these different countries, we gain pay-per-views earlier, so we're not having to stay up till 1 a.m. to start watching it. But the fact that it's been on Saturdays as well, it's just been beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And, oh, God, if they move back to Sundays, we're going backwards, Triple H. You can't let it happen. Yeah. Don't let TKO roll over. Just don't roll over.
It always just feels like Saturday night's a better night for it, though.
Main event Saturday night, right? Yeah, exactly. It does make sense.
Maybe I think it's just because UFC wants prime spot, right?
It does.
They want to run weekends, and they're like, well, WWE secondary, so shove them back to Sunday. They were there for ages.
That's it. Yeah, no. You know what, UFC, you go to Sunday nights. We don't freaking care.
Take the challenge of making Sundays the new Saturday night.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I like it. And the last bit of news we've got is the official name. So basically, for the Bloodline, after debuting at Backlash, we had Tanga Loa was introduced as the newest member of the Bloodline. And on last night's SmackDown, it was revealed that he'll now be going as Tonga Loa. So a slight name change there. But so he's officially going to be known as Tonga Loa as opposed to Tanga Loa. I don't know why, but
I suppose maybe it rolls off the tongue slightly better.
I suppose you have Tama Tonga, then Tonga Loa, right? So
Yeah.
as brothers, you have the symmetry there with the Tongas. So
I didn't even know that was Camacho. Do you guys remember Camacho at all?
Oh God, yeah. He's
really?
also Sin Cara
Sin-
Negro, wasn't he? Negro?
No, that was Hunico.
Oh, that was Hunico.
So Camacho was his guy, like he was the side guy.
right,
Yeah.
okay.
Didn't know that until recently. I was like, oh,
No, I didn't know.
shit.
Well, there we go. All right, that's our latest news on WWE. Let's just talk a little bit about the WWE draft, because obviously we've been off air the last couple of weeks. Ultimately, I was left pretty disappointed. It had fantastic build-up, it had great presentation, returning superstars to make the announcements, but really not much changed, and I think that was the disappointing thing for me. It was what I'll do is I'll quickly run through actually who did move brand. So Carmelo Hayes moves from NXT to SmackDown. Braun Breaker was officially announced for Raw, but didn't he actually, because it was listed as NXT, but he was actually on SmackDown, wasn't he?
Yeah, he
because
was,
he signed a
Yeah,
contract
he'd
for
already
SmackDown
been on SmackDown.
Yeah.
for a couple of weeks, right? So then he moved to Raw, so that was really strange. Nia Jax moved from Raw to SmackDown. Sheamus moved from SmackDown to Raw. Andrade moved. Kiana James moved. She got moved from NXT to Raw. Baron Corbin got the call back up from NXT to SmackDown. Alba Fry and Isla Dawn moved from SmackDown to Raw. Damage Control moved from SmackDown to Raw, which I think was a good thing, but because they've been champions for quite a while, they've been on both brands, so that wasn't that big a deal. The LWO moved from SmackDown to Raw. That was a good move. We definitely had enough of them on SmackDown and the same matches every week. Shinsuke moved from Raw to SmackDown. I think that was very much needed. And they had actually a good promo on SmackDown last week for Shinsuke. They really could do with building him back up again. Dragunov got the call up. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven moved. Valkyria, she moved up from NXT to Raw, and she's been impressive in Raw the last couple of weeks. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell moved. The Final Testament from SmackDown to Raw. DIY, Blair Davenport, Apollo Crews, Giovanni Vinci. Obviously, they're the breakup with Emporium, so he got drafted separately. Tegan Fox and New Catch Republic. So those are the people that moved. So no real big movers, guys. How did you feel about the draft?
Underwhelming, basically. I mean, a lot of the things I've taken from it was I'm more excited about. I mean, obviously for the switches and all that, but the NXT call-ups.
Yes.
I'm always a bit excited to that with that, and I kind of feel like they've done a pretty decent job so far with the NXT calls up,
Yeah.
with the call ups. Sorry, with Carmelo Hayes, he's doing really well. He's killing it. Lyra Valkyria, as you mentioned as well, Ilya Dragunov. I mean, they're sort of making names out there, and then you're getting the crowd sort of like getting into them. So that part of the draft, I'm cool with. Although some of them haven't actually really made a debut, like Dijak nor Kiana James. I don't think they've made it.
Dijak, yeah, he got up,
so they've all, there's nothing done for them yet. But overall, yeah, it's just a bunch of mid carders. They just sort of like pretty much shifted over, and that was it. It's just the big players all kind of stayed where they are, really. A bit underwhelming, yeah. NXT part cool, with just a bit underwhelming with the rest of it.
Yeah, Ryan, what are your thoughts?
There's one or two perplexing things. I mean, like, I know Imperium had just broken up. Like, I have no idea why they broke up. Like, I don't see Giovanni Vinci as being a big single star on SmackDown.
That's right.
I think they make a great tag team, but clearly they want to push the other half. of Imperium.
Kaiser.
Wait, Kaiser.
Kaiser.
But to be honest with you, Giovanni Vinci, when he was in NXT, when he had that whole rebrand of him when he was on NXT, he was doing really well, actually, to be honest with you. So maybe, he was doing pretty well.
Maybe Triple H sees, and that could be one of the things. So on some of the weekly, I don't know if you guys remember the all the years of the draft that they had previously. There were some weaker years where, particularly around the first one, where SmackDown ended up with an awful roster on paper. I remember clearly being on like all the no DQ chat rooms and things at the time, and everyone was like, "Oh no, they're awful." It's like JBL's suddenly the champion. What? And it's like now you look back on that, and it's pretty good era. It started the SmackDown 6, started all of this stuff, so could end up being like a little bit of a reshuffle just to freshen things up. Like Final Testament badly needed to move, even though they just come together. Like the Pride had destroyed them.
Yes.
So that's probably going to be a really good move. I think swapping DIY and what are they called now? Just
New Catch.
Yeah, New Catch Republic. Swapping them, I think that was needed too. It just makes it feel.
Oh wait, hold on. New Catch Republic's on Raw now.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, cool.
Yeah, no, they were on Raw last night.
That's true.
I think it was a supplemental draft, but I think swapping those three makes sense. Same thing with Latino World Order. I was sick of them on SmackDown.
Yes, absolutely.
And that has meant that Carlito is now trying to join the Judgment Day.
Yes,
I think will happen when Dom leaves, so they could freshen up the Judgment Day a little.
I'm up for it.
Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, I think that's needed.
I think there's a lot of subtle things that could improve both brands that came from it, but it definitely wasn't headline grabbing.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about the ways that I would improve it, and there's potentially different ways that I would do it. So if you're planning on keeping the majority of your roster intact, maybe you have a certain amount, maybe your top roster stars are just not included in the draft at all. I don't know, but maybe it needs to focus more on the call-ups. So like the draft in the NFL is all about the rookies, right? It's the people that don't have contract being drafted. So maybe it needs to be more about the call-ups than it is about the current superstars moving back and forth. But what I found really strange was they had the war rooms at the back, which I really liked, and I thought that was really good. However, when they came out to do the announcements, everything was pre-structured. So they all had their lists, and they were like, "Oh yeah, good pick." And it's like neither of them were pissed about who the other person picked.
Yeah.
So what I would do with the draft is I would have literally people out on stage, and they would have a phone next to them. And then when the person in the back room calls up and says, "We want this pick," they make the announcement of the pick, and the other person's like, "Shit, fuck." And then the other person in the other war room's going crazy trying to figure out who their next pick is. And then they pick up the phone and say, "Right, now we're going to pick this person." Because when they're just reading off the card, it's like, how have you not picked the same wrestler? Because it's like you're making it... Do you know what I mean? It's like you're making it out that you're making all these picks and that you don't know what each other's picks, but you have to because you're both reading names that you haven't picked each other. So I think if they reformat it in that way to make it more surprise element and make the backroom draft more reactive, and it feel like the picks are coming off the back of what the other person's picked, it will actually feel like it's actually not just all written down in advance.
Well, I mean, one of my favorite drafts was when Paul Heyman was GM of SmackDown and Eric Bischoff was GM of Raw, and Eric Bischoff drafted Paul Heyman.
Yes.
And then Heyman goes, "Screw you, I quit," and it completely changed the entire dynamic of the show and just felt like a proper screw you moment.
Yeah.
So that type of thing would be awesome.
Yeah, just have the GMs out there just shouting off names at each other. "I've picked this person." "Well, screw you, I'm picking this person now." Do you know what I mean? Steal each other off each other's brands and just make it more of a thing. It's like, why have you not gone for Seth Rollins? Why have you not gone for Drew McIntyre? Why have you not gone for Jey Uso? Why are you not picking these top talents for your show, but you're picking the lower card people? It just didn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it was really weird when, I wasn't really a big fan of bringing legends in to do it as well. It was just like the weirdest, like, it just didn't mesh with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the Dudley Boys just came up with a table and they just set it up and that was it.
Yeah.
It
I
was
like the
like,
fact that
okay,
Bubba Ray was in the back. He was in the war room and then came out to do the picks. Like you said,
yeah,
that makes sense.
that's fine. Yeah,
But they're not reacting to what the other team are picking. So it didn't make any sense from that. So for me, the draft was a failure from that point of view, because just the way it was kind of formatted in that structure, the way it was presented was fine, but the way it was formatted was just, it wasn't the one for me. Wasn't a fan. Right, let's just talk about Backlash at the moment. So first of all, round of applause for the fans in Lyon, France, and anybody around France who joined that. That crowd was incredible. They just sang all through the night. They cheered. Randy Orton's like, this is the first time ever someone sung my song, and and they actually did it on SmackDown last week, which was quite something.
Cool.
The American audience, so they've listened, because he's like, nobody in America does this. It's like I went to France one time and they do it. But the crowd there was fantastic. And what did you guys think of Backlash? I'm going to come on to the results quickly, because obviously we did our predictions for it. We were only going to get to uncover it now. But Ryan, what did you think of Backlash?
Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's another solid card. I would say nothing was really surprising. Like everyone, I think in my picks, I picked everyone that was going to win. But the execution was really, really good. And really enjoyed Damian Priest versus Jey Uso. That was a fresh world title match, which was really well welcomed. Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles, it was good to see AJ Styles there. I thought it was a really phenomenal match, pun intended, particularly with the crowd. Like, that was just nuts.
Yeah.
Like the camera shaking on the entrance there, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And then a really good debut for the new Bloodline.
Yeah. Absolutely.
With another hooded person coming out. Actually, in fairness, he didn't wear Solo's hoodie.
He didn't have a hoodie. That was disappointing.
I think my prediction said somebody else comes out in a hood, but it wasn't. That was kind of refreshing, but I almost would have preferred a different approach to interfering, like his music played or something.
Yeah, rather than just the pull from under the ring. It was quite funny actually, because they showed it from another angle from the crowd, and he missed his cue slightly, and the ref had to like drag his foot out to the bottom of the ring to be pulled. So it's like a slight delay on your debut there, mate. But I think it's because the crowd was probably so loud that he probably didn't hear his cue. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to blame the crowd. Rax, what do you think of Backlash?
Oh yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, obviously the French crowd killed it. It just kind of made you guys. It just kind of makes us go, well, like we got up our game now. You know what I mean?
Because we're like, UK crowds, we've got this, and it's like, oh wait,
it's just cool. Yeah,
new challenger has
blew the roof off. Yeah, no, 100%. So I mean, this is why I think that they have to consider like one of the big 4 PLEs to be abroad, at least somewhere. You know what I mean? You want that sort of reaction.
And in a stadium,
amazing stuff.
And in a stadium rather than an arena, because the sound was amazing because it was an arena. Do you know what I mean? But when they come over here and they're going to the O2 and stuff like that, the numbers aren't that big. They could do 2-3 times that amount, and it's like if you put it in a stadium like Wembley. All In hasn't sold out for Wembley the second time around for AEW, but if WWE put it in there, that's selling out. There's just no question.
Yeah, as soon as you put WrestleMania in there, boom. Or any of the big 4, I suppose. Yeah, is Money in the Bank a big? No, it's not. Say they did a Money in the Bank, like they sold out Money in the Bank.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then that was the O2, wasn't it? So
yeah, but it would sell out Wembley. I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the Backlash prediction results. So, the Women's World Tag Team Championships, the Kabuki Warriors versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. The points scored: myself, Bianca Belair and Jade with the win, 1 point, and the pinfall, 1 point. Neil, same result and pinfall, 2 points. Rax, again, 2 points, same results. Ryan, same, 2 points, same results. Nick and Alex all got the same. We all got 2 points of that. There's only ever going to be one winner. It was going to be a clean pinfall. We all went for someone slightly different regarding the pinfall, because we all predicted Cargill was going to be the one to do the pin. But funnily enough, she didn't. And that was probably the most surprising thing. He was actually below who picked up the pinfall, so we missed out on some bonus points there. And there was no interference by damage control, which we all thought was going to happen as well. So 2 points for everybody for that round. Then we had Randy Orton and Kevin Owens versus the New Bloodline, Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. Then I got 4 points, maximum points, Bloodline, pinfall, Solo pins KO, and a new member of the Bloodline revealed. Then Neil got 2 points, Bloodline and pinfall. Rax, you went for an RKO win. There was no points on the board there. Ryan, you got 3 points, Bloodline, pinfall, and new member debut for the Bloodline. And Nick, he went for RKO, got 0 points. Alex went for RKO, 0 points. Just quick, Rax, why did you go for RKO? Did you not see the Bloodline like building up to like be this new dominant team again, or do you think it was?
I thought it would be. I mean, I guess how they're going for nowadays, I guess I should have just gone for the obvious one. But do you know what I mean? But I kind of felt like Orton
RKO
and,
might be turning into a proper tag team, maybe. Like
exactly. And I thought and I thought it was just me a case that, they're gonna win, but there's gonna be like a beatdown of some sorts, and I think I even wrote down that Cena was gonna.
Yeah, because he was spotted in France, wasn't he?
Yeah, I just thought he was gonna come and help out and all that. So that's what I thought was gonna happen.
But, I mean, it was a lot more possible until the beginning of the card where they all were fighting, and then they went, "Oh, sod it, it's no DQ."
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that Street Fight edition was really something because there was some big spots in there. Kevin Owens off the top through the chairs.
Oh God. Yeah,
that was something insane. That was insane. Right, so then we had the Women's World Championship, Bayley versus Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton. We all had Bayley for the win. We all had pinfall. We all had, I think, so myself, Neil, Rax, and Alex, we all had Bayley pinning Naomi. So for the bonus point. But in terms of any other bonus points, no, we didn't get anything else on there. Then we had the World Heavyweight Championship, Damian Priest versus Jey Uso. We had pretty much all. It's only Rax who went for Jey Uso. He thought he was going to take the win. But all the rest got Damian Priest via pinfall. I got half a point because I put Judgment Day interference, but I thought Jimmy might come back and actually save Jey. But maybe that's a little bit too early. So I got half a point for Judgment Day interference. Neil, he said Judgment Day interferes against Damien's wishes. So, yeah, that was a point there. Rax, he got half a point, I think, because he said Judgment Day would interfere, but he thought they actually might cost Damian Priest the match. But he got half a point there. Ryan, Judgment Day interrupt, and they cost Jey the match. Yep, 1 point. Bonus point. Nick, also the same. And Alex, also the same, bonus points. Moving on to the final, we all had Cody Rhodes for the win. We all had pinfall. But the only person with a bonus point in that round was Alex, because he just said it was going to be a clean win, where we thought there might be something else. I actually thought LA Knight might interrupt because of his feud with AJ. Neil had maybe a too sweet moment between Cody and AJ, didn't happen. But Rax, he actually got a bonus point as well, wins with the Crossroads. So you did get a bonus point there, Rax. Ryan thought AJ might try to cheat, but I didn't see any of that happening. So
yeah, it was annoyingly clean.
It was annoyingly clean, absolutely. And most of us actually had for a pay-per-view bonus point, we all thought that there'd be more Wyatt family appearances during this pay-per-view because it seemed like the right time. But it's still a slow burn, still a slow tease. Another QR code this week on Raw. So that didn't happen either. So final results of the night. We had Rax with 8.5 points. Then we had Nick with 9 points, relinquishing his title win from the last pay-per-view, WrestleMania. Then with 11 points, we had Alex. And then jointly with 12 points, we had Neil and Ryan, which meant I took home the win with 13.5 points. I'm a happy man. And it's good. It was a good day. It was a good day.
Anyone but Neil.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I think for the next 12 months, that is pretty much it. It's just anyone but Neil. So I think did Neil won Backlash? I think, didn't he? for the last pay-per-view of no Elimination Chamber. Sorry, Elimination Chamber. So I think he won Elimination Chamber. But WrestleMania, we had Nick Crown as the new champion at that point. I've taken this pay-per-view, so we just got to keep Neil off that top.
Do you think there's any chance we could do a graphic for the rest of the months where there's a Ghostbusters style sign with the red cross and Neil in the middle of it? And we just flash up whenever he's about to win something, just anyone but Neil.
No, stop Neil.
Literally the same face as the Ghostbusters logo.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, man.
What we will be doing soon as part of the podcast is I've met Rax and Ryan through our mutual friend Neil, and he is the reigning defending Wrestle Club Fantasy League champion, and he obviously has mentioned it several times on this podcast and our other movie podcast, and any chance he gets he will mention this. So we have the new draft coming up, so we will be doing a new draft for the new season. We wanted to try and do it before Backlash, but unfortunately it didn't happen, and but we are going to do it before the next pay-per-view, which is going to be King of the Ring. So we will be hopefully doing that next week. We will do the full draft. We each basically pick 5 or 6 wrestlers from each roster, and then we will earn points for each win, pay-per-view, title defense, and so forth. So we'll go into that, but we're going to do a special Bitchin' About Wrestling fantasy draft next week. Okay, guys, so the last thing I just want to kind of cover is just some updates which has been happening on SmackDown and Raw. So SmackDown, not too much has been happening outside, obviously, King of the Ring stuff, but one I wanted to talk about, the new bloodline. Obviously, Solo has said that he's spoken to Roman Reigns now, and he is, he's been put in charge by the tribal chief of the bloodline, and he had that really creepy hug with Paul Heyman, looking over his shoulder, say, yeah, you're going to be my wise man now, and stuff like that now. At what point are they going to turn on Paul Heyman? Like, what's going to be the catalyst for that? Have you guys got any ideas yet?
It'll be the next debut. Because there'll be a 4th member.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely can't remember his name, but I've seen the clips of him online. I think WWE
is he wrestling in New Japan or something at the moment?
Yeah, the WWE have just signed him as well.
Right.
So whenever he debuts, I reckon it's at that point that they go solo, pun intended.
Maybe it could be at King of the Ring. If Tama Tonga makes it to the final against Jay, you could have another new Bloodline member revealed then, because he will stop Jay from winning it and give Tama Tonga the win, maybe.
Yeah, and it would make sense because you want the faction to be established. You want a tag team in it. You want the leader, the main eventer, and then you want somebody in the mid card.
Yeah,
and they
need to go on and beat A-Town Down Under for the titles. They need some championships. The Bloodline,
100%. And just those two. By the way, I don't think I mentioned it on the podcast. Those titles,
yes,
those SmackDown titles. But I think it's heading in a good direction. I like the fact it's a bit more of a brutal Bloodline. It's not a shame. I like the hostage stuff with Paul Heyman, but a big part of the reason why the first Bloodline got over was promos.
Yes.
And we haven't seen a lot of that from Solo yet. He was all right on the last SmackDown, and I know
he's better backstage, isn't he? Yeah. He's much better backstage than he is in the ring in front of the crowd.
Yeah. And he used to be good in NXT, and he's basically spent the last year standing behind Roman.
The silent assassin, yeah.
So I can't wait until the stable's finalized and they get a story that isn't just building. And I think brutalizing Paul is the sink or swim moment for it, because with him there to do the talking, Solo has got a bit of a crutch.
Yeah,
and I kind of want that pulled out and just sink or swim.
Yeah, I mean, I can pretty much see maybe the Bloodline then being built up to claim all the gold for Roman to come back to then re-challenge for the championship. So they'll take the tag titles, they'll take the US title as part of the faction. Then it's like, Roman, you need to now come back and would beat Cody or whoever it may be to reclaim the Universal.
I just had a thought, actually. Maybe that's why they would take the title off Logan Paul.
Yeah.
So that Cody.
So somebody from the bloodline can beat him for the US Championship. Yeah.
And then they're challenging for his world title as well.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
Well, when is actually Roman Reigns due back?
We don't know. Indetermined.
Mm.
I don't think it's injury.
He's too busy at Disney World.
Yeah, he was at Disney World recently. So yeah, it's just well-deserved time off because, he only wrestled like 3 times last year. He needs a break.
Of course. But will this be like the first...
Go on,
will this be... I was just going to say, will this be like potentially the first time that we see Paul Heyman as like a face? I know people like love him generally, but it could be the first time that we see him as a face, which could be a different thing, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
he was a face with Brock Lesnar for a bit. Like Brock Lesnar was definitely a face.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
But you're right, it doesn't happen often, and it certainly hasn't happened for 3 years, so it'll be fresh.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on SmackDown you guys want to chat about? Anything happening there?
God, what else happened? I don't remember much.
A lot of it's the King of the Ring setup.
There's AJ Styles' new theme song. That's divisive.
It's forgettable. If you asked me to hum it, I wouldn't be able to. So
I finally listened to it on Spotify the other day. They've loaded it up, and I was trying to hear if it was any good. And like the opening 30 seconds are pretty good, and then I don't like the Death. I know it's cool to hate on Death Rebel, but I don't know why you need a catchphrase at the beginning of every thing.
Yes.
I know it'd be like if Austin said, and that's the bottom line.
What?
If Austin was around nowadays, it would go, what? 100%. So I don't know why it needs to start off with "you don't want none."
Yeah, it's weird.
Anyway.
All right, let's move on to Raw. So Drew and CM Punk, obviously their rivalry continues. I do like this back and forth. It's quite good. And it is good to keep them apart, I think, at this point until Punk is ready. That makes a lot of sense. Drew on his social media is fantastic. And I'm really happy that Drew's re-signed with WWE. I think that's a big one. Also, Damian Priest has re-signed with WWE as well as Seth Rollins. So they've all signed new
Damian
contracts.
Priest hugely impressive on Monday.
Yes, I think I really thought he had a good match at Backlash with Jay. I thought that was a very good match. But yeah, he was really good in the ring with Drew on Monday. I think he's really coming into his own.
I did think he was going to be a transitional champion, and that there wouldn't be. Didn't really rate him that much. I think he's always been good, but I didn't see a main eventer there. And then that promo. Where he just called out Drew on everything.
Yes.
Was absolutely immaculate.
Yeah. It's like, you stopped me from cashing in. You told me to wait till you beat Seth and then to try and cash on you. And that's what I did. It's just like, oh yeah, shit, you said that. And the fact that he's given him his title opportunity. So, Drew didn't have to compete in King of the Ring. They've had the conversation. Drew's like, yeah, have it. So that was quite surprising. Do you think that's going to happen at King of the Ring? Do you think we're going to have the match there?
I think it'll be. Sorry, go on.
I don't think it's going to be as soon as King of the Ring. I don't see that happening. It's way too when is King of the Ring? It's like literally in 11 days, right? So do we have? We've got 2 weeks. Yeah, we've got one more Raw, I guess, to go. Oh, yeah. No, I don't see that. I don't see that happening at King of the Ring yet. Mm. Yeah. I don't think there will be a world title match then.
So maybe it'll be Clash of the Castle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where I'd expect Damian to lose it. I'd expect Drew to win at Clash of the Castle. He probably should have won it when they were Clash of the Castle last time, the crowd, the way they were behind him. But the fact that it's now in Scotland, how can you not have him win it in Scotland? Do you know what I mean? That would be epic.
Yeah, no, I think that makes more sense, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. And CM Punk said on social media this week, psychologically, Drew McIntyre can't hurt me, but I'm going to break his heart. And then when I heard that, I was like, that's why I wanted to win Money in the Bank, because I wanted to cash in on Drew. I just ruined him. That'd be amazing. We've already mentioned Carlito at the Judgment Day. We've also mentioned Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. The tease is there. Lillian Garcia made a return to Raw this week. And,
she did.
Sometimes she's forgotten about when you talk about ring announcers. You go with like your Finkel and your modern day, but she was great for so many years, and it was cool to see her again on Raw, for real. And Bron Breakker, why was he not in King of the Ring? What kind of story do you guys think they're building there? Because he's obviously speaking with the GM and is like, I should have been in there. I could smash these guys. Why wasn't he in there? It would seem like the perfect fit, right?
I guess to give him a storyline,
Mm-hmm.
like to give him something to, because his debut's been really impressive, but he was a great heel.
Mm-hmm.
So just something to turn him from that debut babyface and just turn him heel. Maybe just give him a chip on the shoulder and a bit of a kickstart.
Right, yeah. Yeah, no, makes sense.
I mean, you don't think they're going to repackage him or nothing? I mean, I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment,
I
he
wouldn't
just
want
comes
to. I
in,
think
smashes people within like 10 seconons.
Yeah, he's basically Goldberg. He's Goldberg, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he is.
I mean, but I actually prefer him to Goldberg, which is like, 100 times better. Honestly,
he's very
not
impressive. Not just with strength, but actually his technical ability. Because he's a Steiner son, isn't he?
Yeah,
So,
Rick Steiner. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd expect big things from him. I think he's very, very capable, and I think potentially after the next triple threat match for the Intercontinental title, I think maybe he might be going on to that Intercontinental title scene.
Potentially, yeah. To be honest with you, I would like to see him against Gunther.
Yeah, that'd be
good. Gunther, how do you say it? Is it Gunther or Gunther? It's Gunther, right?
Gunther.
Gunther.
Yeah, I mispronounced it. I'm like Gunther. It's like, no, you got
Gunther.
You got to read. I got a little bit of lisp as well, so it's like it doesn't help.
Alpha Academy. Obviously, Chad Gable. He was interfering in Otis's match, trying to direct him, stopping him from doing the worm. He did it anyway. Kind of rebelled, and so there's obviously going to be a fallout there. Do you think that maybe Alpha Academy will split? Obviously, they're all going to just get pissed off with Chad and the way he's acting. Do you think maybe he'll team up with the Creed brothers? Because I think that makes a good fit to have Chad Gable with the Creed brothers to be that new. What did
Team Angle?
Team Angle, like the new Team Angle, and I think that would be a really good fit because they are very talented in the ring. Creed brothers, I have to say.
Yeah, I think that's
the best fit. No, I was going to say it's the best fit going. I think it would make sense. I was actually thinking that the Alpha Academy would turn heel with him at some point. Like, it's one of those things where he's kind of shitting on them so much that eventually it's like, it looks like there's going to be a FaceTime, but they're like, you know what, I'm actually on board with this kind of thing. You know, we actually need to get better. I just thought that would be the case. But now that you brought up the Creed brothers, I'm like, that works out so much better more. Yeah.
They're teasing at the moment on don't think they'll do anything with Tozawa.
No.
Maybe not with Maxine, but Otis, they seem to be teasing that he's going to turn on Chad.
I can imagine a match between them, Otis and Chad. That would be a little bit of a rivalry. Yeah.
I think they could build that for another month. After, my guess, Otis costs Chad the match.
Yes, because you'll have his Alpha Academy around the ring to potentially help him win. It's like, we got to win this as a team. You're going to help me win this. And he makes a mistake that ends up costing Chad the title. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think it'll be a mistake. I think it'll be intentional.
Ooh, yeah. Shenanigans.
And then that sets up a match on the next pay-per-view, mid-card. And at that point, Creed brothers join him.
Yeah. I think it might be one of those moments where he's berating Otis, pushing him and pushing him. Yeah. And he kind of just snaps and just punches him, knocks him, puts him out, and then it'll be a haluva kick and it'll be over, kind of thing. I think Chad will be the one to take the loss from Sammy. I think Sammy will probably retain at this point, but it protects them, Bronson Reed. So I think that's potentially what will happen. Right, and so what else we got? So we had number one contenders match for the World Tag Team Championships on Raw. It was a fatal four-way match. We had the New Catch Republic, the Creed brothers, Finn Balor and JD Madonna, and Authors of Pain. And Finn Balor and JD Madonna are your winners. They are your new number one contenders. Carlito with the assist, because it was a no DQ match because it was a fatal 4. So I think that Finn Balor and JD Madonna are going to take the titles off of R-Truth and The Miz. And it's going to cause a bit of tension that Finn and JD have the titles where Finn and Priest lost them. So yes, they will have the titles as the Judgment Day again, but I think that will kind of show to Finn that it was me and not you, or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's going to create a little bit of an unbalance and a rivalry there. So they have their own titles, but the fact that he's won it with somebody else and he lost it with Damien, they might create something there. I don't know. Do you think they're gonna win their title match, or do you think Awesome Truth will keep hold of it?
I think Awesome Truth will keep it. In my opinion, I think they're going to keep it. I think that the bigger picture would be Finn against Damian Priest for the title. I think is what they're going to probably aim for. And to be honest with you, it's like, it'll be their. Would this be their first official title defense? I guess the Raw Tag Team, or have they?
Because they beat.
They beat someone, didn't they?
They had number one contenders match previously. It was DIY.
So it was DIY. You're right. Yeah,
and they fought DIY.
Nah, I mean, I think keep it on Awesome Truth for a bit. I think the bigger picture would be, I think the whole point is that Judgment Day is sort of falling apart with no Rhea Ripley. So for them winning it, it doesn't really, in my opinion, doesn't make it seem that they're really falling apart in a sense. They're still doing well. I think they have to really emphasize that with no Rhea Ripley, it's just gone to shit, basically.
Yeah. Unless they realize they don't need Damien. So maybe Carlito helps JD and Finn win. And they're like, we actually don't need you, Priest. So, because Priest keeps dismissing him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they'll be like, actually, we'll kick you out. We don't need you. It's going to be the three of us now, or something like that. So it could happen.
Anything.
What do you think about this? They seem to do these number one contender things like Fatal 4-Ways. And as much as I enjoy the Fatal 4-Way matches, I feel like tag team matches now, there's no individual tag team rivalries. Do you know what I mean? We're not getting tag team versus tag team and really building up stories between them. It just seems every time we need a title match, we're throwing them all together to have a number one contenders match. And I kind of miss just basic tag team rivalry. I don't know. What do you guys think?
100%. I agree as well. I miss the days of the Dudleys and the Hardys and, Edge and Christian. Legit beef. You know what I mean? And stuff, like every match is decided based on a number one contendership. And it's just kind of like, I get it. You're going to beef with the people you're going to fight for. But I mean, it's just, I don't want to call it lazy, but it's just, they got, and then sometimes it's just kind of like, you don't feel invested in the team sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing is, DIY, I love them, and them, but they just haven't really, same thing, you know what I mean? It's just, they just happen to win the number one contenderships. They lose them, and so that back to the drawing board. So, no, definitely. I agree with you 100%, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, they used to have non-title tag feuds.
Yeah, that's it.
And they really don't seem to. The same thing happens with the women's titles a lot of the time, where out of nowhere there's a wild Zoe Stark, and she'll win a number one contender thing, and then everyone will expect you to take her seriously for a month.
Yes, exactly.
Whereas if you build her up, I keep mentioning Zoe Stark, she's awesome, but I don't like the pluck them out, we can put them in. Yeah, they'll do a job, but if you had DIY versus New Catch Republic or something for non-titles,
yes,
and actually had some promo time with them all, which, I mean, DIY at the minute is like the biggest thing they've done since reuniting, aside from a good showing at WrestleMania, was they're now DX, because R-Truth, a much more over guy, gave them a bit of personality as a team, which is unfair because they're awesome.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. Yeah. Like to see definitely more tag team rivalries. And like you say, because it's very rare that the number one contenders win the titles. Do you know what I mean? The last titles were decided by ladder match, so it didn't really make a difference. But it's very rare that the number one contenders actually take a title. It just seems like a matter of process. So build the feuds, and that'll get you invested. Like R-Truth and Awesome Truth, we enjoyed them winning because it felt like they beat the Judgment Day, but they didn't really, because they were being a bunch of teams. But because of the story progression, we wanted them to win that championship away from, as long as New Day didn't win, it was fine. But we need to create more rivalries within the tag division. So when one team does win it, there's the next in line automatically ready to go.
I mean, I guess. Sorry, Rax.
No, that's right.
There's been 3 tag champ reigns in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I mean, let's ignore the new champs.
Mm-hmm.
Up until WrestleMania, it was Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
And then prior to that, it was Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. My mistake. Yeah, Cody and Jay won it for 2 weeks to interrupt the Judgment Day's reign. And I'd already forgotten about that, aside from their drunk interview.
That's it. That's what you remember most about the title reign is the press conference.
Yeah. And Cody and Jay weren't a tag team.
No.
Judgment Day were. Sammy and Kevin, definitely a tag team. Before that, it was the Usos. So, yeah, nobody has won. No number one contender has really, no tag team number one contender has won outside of a WrestleMania or a random fluke.
Yeah. We want more of that. More of that, please. Right. So coming up on next week's SmackDown and Raw, obviously we have the semi-finals for the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring tournament. We have Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable. I would say it's an odd choice before a premium live event, but Bronson Reed will come in, interfere, and that'll be the way they build it up. But that is pretty much our WWE roundup. Listeners, watchers, if you're still here, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate you. We hope you enjoy the content. We hope you enjoy listening and watching to us talking about wrestling with limited knowledge that we have, but we speak about with enthusiasm is the main thing. If you did enjoy the show, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. If you listen to the audio podcast, hit that 5-star review on iTunes and Spotify. And please share our content around. It'd be much appreciated. Just a little UK-based fan of WWE, and we just want to share our passion with the world, because the US audiences, North America audience, they dominate this market, and we Brits need to be heard. We need to be heard. Right, that's it. So thank you very much, and hopefully we'll be back again on regular now on a weekly basis. You've been listening to Ken, Rax, and Ryan on Bitchin' About Wrestling, and until next time, peace out.